My daughter stopped laughing mid-sentence. When my granddaughter said, "Grandpa, you missed the wedding," the silence that followed was like thunder. Patricia, my daughter, froze with the wine glass halfway to her lips. Her husband, Jason, stopped chewing. And my granddaughter, Danielle, 8 years old, just stared at me with those innocent eyes, not understanding why everyone had stopped breathing. "What wedding?" I asked. My voice was calm, too calm. Danielle smiled, unaware of the storm she had just unleashed. "Aunt Monica's wedding, Grandpa. It was last Saturday. It was so pretty. There were so many flowers and—" "Danielle, go play in the yard," Patricia interrupted sharply. Her voice was trembling. "But Mom, I just finished." "Now." The girl scrambled off her chair, confused, and ran outside. I stayed seated at the head of the dining room table. My dining room, in my house, the house I bought 25 years ago, where my family came every Sunday for dinner, the house where they had always been welcome, where I, like the fool I was, paid every bill without asking questions. "Explain," I said, looking directly at Patricia. "Explain to me why my granddaughter knows about a wedding that I know nothing about." Patricia looked at Jason for help. He just shrugged, coward that he is. "Dad, we were going to tell you." "When?" "Before or after I found out my youngest daughter got married and didn't even invite me." "It wasn't like that." "Then how was it?" She put her glass down. Her hands were shaking. "It was a small wedding, intimate. Monica and David decided they wanted something private." "Private?" The word came out like a bark. "Private from her own father? Dad, you know how you are. You always want to control everything. You always have an opinion about everything. Monica just wanted one day. Without drama." I leaned back in my chair. The words hit me like punches. I was the drama? The man who worked 60 hours a week for 30 years to give them everything. The man who paid for private colleges, cars, apartments. That man was the drama? And the $12,000? I asked. Because I checked the bank statement this morning. $12,432, to be exact. Charged to the card I gave you for emergencies. Patricia turned pale. "Dad, we were going to pay you back. It's just that." "It's just what? That you thought I wouldn't notice? Or that you thought the old fool would just sign the check like always?" "It's not that." "Then what is it?" I stood up. "Because from where I'm standing, it looks like my daughters planned a wedding, spent my money, excluded me completely, and thought they could get away with it." Jason finally spoke. "Henry, with all due respect, maybe we should." "You shut up," I interrupted him. "You, who hasn't worked a full day in your life. You, who live in an apartment that I paid for. You have no right to an opinion on anything." He shut his mouth immediately. "Dad, you're overreacting," Patricia said, standing up. "Yes, we made a mistake. We should have told you. But you're acting like it's the end of the world." "It's not the end of the world," I said, with a calm I didn't feel. "It's the end of something else. This farce, this arrangement, where I give, and you take and take, without even the minimum respect of including me in the important moments of your lives. That's not fair. That's not fair." I laughed bitterly. "You know what's not fair, Patricia? That your mother passed away 6 years ago, and you only show up when you need something. You know what's not fair? That I gave you everything, and I don't even deserve an invitation to my own daughter's wedding." Patricia had tears in her eyes now. "We knew you would react like this. That's why we didn't tell you. No, you excluded me because I was convenient, because it was easier to take my money than to deal with me. I left the dining room. I went to my study. I locked the door. And there, in the privacy of my space, with my hands shaking with rage, I did something I should have done years ago. I took out my phone, I called the bank, and I canceled all the additional credit cards I had given to my daughters. All of them. Every single one." "Are you sure, Mr. Aguirre?" the bank representative asked. "Completely sure." Then I called my accountant. I gave him specific instructions. Close all accounts where Patricia or Monica had access. Remove their names from any document where they were listed as beneficiaries or authorized users. "Mr. Aguirre, is everything all right?" Michael asked. "My accountant for 15 years. "It is now," I replied. When I came out of the study 30 minutes later, Patricia and Jason were gone. They had left the plates on the table. Of course, they always left everything for me to pick up, literally and figuratively. I poured myself a whiskey. I sat on the terrace. And for the first time in 6 years, since Emily had passed, I let myself feel really feel the pain, the betrayal, the humiliation, but also something else, something I didn't expect. Relief. My name is Henry Aguirre. I'm 58 years old. I own a chain of hardware stores in a major Midwestern city, 5 stores in total. I built them from scratch, starting with a small shop I rented when I was 25. I was born into a humble family. My father was a construction worker. My mother sold tamales at the market. I grew up watching them struggle every day just to put food on the table, and I swore my children would never go through that. I met Emily when I was 23. She worked as a secretary at a construction company where I bought materials. She was beautiful, smart, but what attracted me most was her laugh. That laugh that lit up any room. We got married a year later. We had Patricia when I was 26, Monica 2 years after that. Those were hard years. I worked all day at my hardware store, and at night I did repair jobs for extra money. Emily never complained. She raised the girls, she managed the house, and when the business started to grow, she was the one who handled the accounting for the first 10 years. We were a team, a real family. When did it all change? I can't pinpoint an exact moment. It was gradual, like water eroding stone, little by little, without you realizing it until it's too late. Maybe it started when the girls went to private college. Suddenly they had friends from rich families, families where money was never an issue, and they started to compare. Dad, Sarah's mom bought her a new car. Dad, why can't we go skiing in Colorado like Andrea's family? Dad, I need a new iPhone. Mine is 2 years old. And I, wanting to give them everything I never had, said yes. I always said yes. Emily warned me, Henry, you're spoiling them. They're going to think money grows on trees. I just want them to be happy, I'd reply, to have what I never could. But at what cost? She would say, worried. I didn't listen to her. And now, sitting on my terrace with a whiskey in my hand, I understood she was right. Patricia married Jason 8 years ago, a guy she met in college. He came from money, but he had never worked seriously himself. He had a consulting business, which basically meant he charged for giving advice nobody followed. I bought them their apartment as a wedding gift, a beautiful place in a wealthy suburb, 3 bedrooms, a mountain view. It was worth almost $300,000 back then. You're too much, Dad, Patricia had said when I gave her the keys, but her eyes were shining with excitement. Nothing is too much for my daughter, I replied. Monica, my youngest, was always different, more independent, more reserved. She studied graphic design and got a job at an ad agency. It seemed like she had inherited my work ethic. But she also got used to easy money. When she wanted to start her own design studio 3 years ago, I financed everything. Computers, office rent, operating expenses for the first year. I'll pay you back, Dad, she promised. She never did, and I never asked her to. Emily got sick 7 years ago. Breast cancer. She fought for a year. A horrible year where I watched her deteriorate day after day. A year where I spent every dollar I had, and some I didn't, on treatments, doctors, hopes. It didn't work. She passed away 6 years ago, March 23rd, a Tuesday afternoon. I was holding her hand. Patricia was on the other side of the bed. Monica was on her way, but she arrived late. She said there was traffic. Her last words were for me. Take care of them, Henry, but don't let them walk all over you. I didn't understand what she meant at the time. I was too shattered by grief. Now, I understood perfectly. After Emily passed, my daughters became more distant. At first, I blamed it on grief. We were all processing the loss in different ways. But then I realized it wasn't that. It was that without Emily as the intermediary. Without her organizing the family dinners and get-togethers. Without her maintaining communication. The family started to disintegrate. Patricia came on Sundays for dinner, but always in a hurry, always with an excuse to leave early, and always with some request. Dad, Jason is having trouble with his business. Could you lend us $5,000? Dad, Danielle needs to see the orthodontist. Can you pay for it? Dad, my car needs repairs. You know we're short on cash right now. And I paid. I always paid. Monica was more subtle. She wouldn't ask directly, but she'd drop hints. That design course in Barcelona looks amazing. Too bad it costs $5,000. And I, getting the message, would transfer the money. Why did I do it? Because I was afraid. Afraid that if I stopped giving money, they would stop coming. That without Emily, Without that automatic connection she created, I was just disposable. Turns out, I was disposable anyway. The phone rang around 8 p.m. It was Patricia. Dad, what did you do? Hello, Patricia. How are you? You canceled my credit card. I tried to pay at the supermarket and it was declined. Do you have any idea how humiliating that was? Ah, I said, taking another sip of whiskey. Yes, I canceled it. And all the others too. How could you do that? Pretty easily. I called the bank and told them to cancel the additional cards on my account. Took about 5 minutes. But those are my cards! No, Patricia, they are my cards. In my name. From my account. You just had authorization to use them. Authorization I have just revoked. This is ridiculous. All because you got angry about the wedding? It's not about the wedding. Well, not just the wedding. It's about everything. About years of being treated like an ATM. About years of only being wanted when you need money. About being excluded from my own daughter's life. Dad, you're exaggerating. Am I? Tell me, Patricia. When was the last time you came to visit me without asking for anything? When was the last time you called me just to ask how I was? Silence on the other end. Exactly, I continued. You can't remember because it hasn't happened. Since your mother passed, I only exist for you when you need money. Well, that's over. You can't do this. I have expenses. I have responsibilities. Then get a job. Or tell your husband to get a real job. But it's not my problem anymore. You're selfish. Mom would be so disappointed in you. Those words hurt. They hurt like a knife straight to the heart. But I didn't break. Your mother, I said slowly, told me on her deathbed not to let you walk all over me. I should have listened to her from the beginning. But better late than never. Dad. I hung up. And I turned off the phone. 5 minutes later, the house phone rang. I ignored it. Then, the doorbell. I didn't answer. I could hear Patricia on the other side of the door. Dad, open up. We need to talk about this. I stayed in my armchair. I waited. Eventually, she left. The house fell silent, a silence that, strangely, didn't feel empty. It felt peaceful. I looked around my living room, the photos on the walls, Emily and me on our wedding day, the girls when they were little, family vacations, graduations. When had we lost that? When did family stop being about love and become only about money? I stood up. I went to the kitchen. I washed the dishes Patricia and Jason had left. I cleaned the table. I put everything away. And as I did, I made a decision. I wasn't going to be the fool anymore. I wasn't going to be my daughter's personal bank. If they wanted a relationship with me, it was going to be a real one, based on respect, on genuine love, not on financial transactions. And if they couldn't do that, if they couldn't see me as anything more than a source of money, then I preferred to be alone, because honest loneliness was better than company I had to pay for. That night, I slept better than I had in years. The next morning, my phone had 17 missed calls, 12 from Patricia, 5 from Monica. There were text messages, too, a lot of them. Patricia, Dad, this is insane, call me. Patricia, you can't do this. You have responsibilities to us. Patricia, Jason says we can sue you. Monica, Dad, Patricia told me. Is it true you canceled everything? We need to talk. Monica, this isn't fair. Not all of us agreed with the wedding thing. Monica, call me, please. I didn't answer any of them. Instead, I got dressed, had a quiet breakfast, and went to work. My employees noticed something different about me. You look good, Mr. Aguirre, said Raymond, my general manager. Lighter somehow. I feel lighter, I admitted. I spent the day reviewing operations at my hardware stores. I talked to suppliers. I checked inventory. I did the work I loved doing, the work that had given me purpose for 30 years. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't thinking about my daughters. I wasn't worrying about their problems. I wasn't planning how I was going to help them with their next financial crisis. I was just living. Around 3 p.m., Raymond came into my office. Mr. Aguirre, your daughter Patricia is here. She says she needs to talk to you urgently. I sighed. I knew this would happen eventually. Send her in. Patricia stormed into my office like a hurricane. She was wearing jeans and a wrinkled blouse. Her hair was a mess, eyes puffy from crying. She looked desperate. Dad, you have to reconsider this, she started, without even saying hello. You can't just cut off all financial support out of nowhere. Sit down, Patricia. I don't want to sit down. I want you to fix this. Sit down, I repeated, my voice firm. She dropped into the chair in front of my desk, like a scolded child. Now, I said, leaning back in my chair, let's talk like adults. What exactly do you need? What do I need? I need you to give me back my credit card. I need you to give me access to the accounts again. I need you to stop acting like a what? I interrupted. Like a father who's tired of being used? We're not using you, aren't you? Then tell me, Patricia, your sister's wedding cost over $12,000. Were you ever planning on telling me? Or were you just hoping I'd see the charge and say nothing, like always? She looked down. Were you going to tell me? In 5 years? 10? Or when you needed money for something else? It's not like that. It is like that. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of only being wanted when you open your wallet. I'm tired of being invisible, except when you need something. I'm tired of all of it. Patricia started to cry. Dad, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for not inviting you to the wedding. I'm sorry for using your card without permission. But please, don't punish us like this. We have expenses. Danielle has school. Jason can get a real job, I interrupted. And so can you. You have a college degree that I paid for. Use it. It's not that easy. Of course it's not easy. You think it was easy for me? You think I built all this by sitting around waiting for someone else to solve my life? I worked, I fought, I sacrificed. And you just expect everything to fall from the sky. We're not like that. Yes, you are. And I helped create that monster. But it's over. From now on, if you want anything from me, it's going to be because we build a real relationship. Not because you emotionally blackmail me or make me feel guilty. Patricia wiped her tears. And if we can't? If we don't know how to do that? I looked at her, really looked at her, and I saw the little girl I used to carry on my shoulders. The girl who waited for me at the door when I came home from work. The girl who said, I love you, Daddy, every night before bed. Where had that girl gone? Then you learn, I said softly, because I'm not changing my mind. You either have a relationship with me based on genuine respect and love, or you have nothing. She stood up, trembling. You're cruel. No, I'm a man who is finally respecting himself. Patricia walked out of the office without another word, and I stayed there, my heart heavy but my conscience clear. For the first time in years, I was setting boundaries. I was saying no. I was demanding respect. And even though it hurt, even though every fiber of my being as a father wanted to give in, to call her, to fix everything and go back to how things were, I knew I couldn't, because how things were was unsustainable. It was toxic, and it was slowly destroying me. Emily was right. I couldn't let them walk all over me. And even though I was late, even though it took me 6 years to understand her message, I was finally doing it. I was finally respecting myself. 2 weeks went by with no word from my daughters. 2 weeks of absolute silence. No calls, no texts. They didn't show up on Sunday for the family dinner that no longer existed. And I, against all odds, was fine. Better than fine, actually. I felt free. I used that time to reconnect with myself. I started going to the gym in the mornings, something I had given up years ago because I didn't have time. Turns out, I did have time. I had just been wasting it, worrying about problems that weren't mine. I also reconnected with old friends. I called Robert, my college buddy I hadn't seen in 3 years. We met for breakfast. Henry, you look different, he said as soon as we sat down. I don't know what it is, but there's something. I took a weight off my shoulders, I replied, and I told him everything. Robert listened without interrupting. When I finished, he shook his head. You should have done that years ago, my friend. I know. My kids are the same, he continued, always expecting Dad to solve everything. My wife tells me I say yes to everything. And she's right, but I don't know. You just want to see them happy. There's a difference between helping and letting them use you, I said. And it took me 58 years to understand that. I left that breakfast feeling validated. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't being cruel. I was simply demanding the bare minimum. Respect. On the 15th day, after the wedding incident, Monica showed up at my house. It was a Saturday afternoon. I was in the garden, pruning the rose bushes that Emily had planted years ago. Hi, Dad. I turned around. Monica was standing at the edge of the yard. She looked nervous. Her hands were in her jeans pockets. Monica, I said without much emotion. I kept pruning. Can we talk? You're talking? I mean, really talk, without yelling, without ultimatums. I put down the pruning shears. I wiped my hands on my pants. All right, let's talk. We sat on the terrace. I offered her some water. She accepted. For a few minutes, neither of us said anything. Finally, Monica broke the silence. You're right, she said simply, about everything. I wasn't expecting that. Excuse me. You're right. We treated you like an ATM. We didn't invite you to my wedding because it was easier not to deal with you. We used your money without thinking. And when you finally put your foot down, we got angry because we were used to you always saying yes. I leaned back in my chair, processing her words. Patricia is furious, Monica continued. She says you're being vindictive, that you're punishing us. But I've been thinking, and I think you're just doing what you should have done a long time ago. Why wasn't I invited to your wedding, Monica? I asked, the question that had been eating me up inside. I'm your father. I saw you being born. I held you in my arms. I taught you how to ride a bike. Why? She looked down at her hands. Because I knew you'd want to control everything. That you'd have an opinion on the venue, the menu, the music. That you'd turn it into your event, not mine. Her words hurt, but there was truth in them. Did you ever think, I said slowly, that maybe I had so many opinions because I cared? Because I wanted everything to be perfect for you? I know, Dad, but I felt like you were suffocating me. Ever since Mom died, you became so controlling, so present in everything, and I just wanted to breathe. And the solution was to exclude me completely. No, the solution should have been to talk to you, to set boundaries. But it was easier to just do things behind your back and use your money to pay for it. And that was wrong. We sat in silence again. A more comfortable silence this time. Does David know you're here? I asked. David was her new husband, a guy I had met twice in total. Yes. In fact, it was his idea for me to come. He says family is important, that we can't let pride separate us. Sounds like a good man. He is. And he's embarrassed about the wedding. He wanted to invite you, but I convinced him it was better this way. Her voice cracked. I was a coward, Dad. And I'm sorry. I got up. I walked to the railing of the terrace, looking out at the garden where Emily and I had spent so many afternoons. You know what the saddest part of all this is? I said, without turning around. That I lost 6 years. 6 years where I could have set boundaries, where I could have demanded respect. But I was so afraid of losing you after your mother died that I allowed everything. And in the end, I lost you anyway. I heard Monica get up. She came to stand next to me. You didn't lose us, Dad. We're here. I'm here. Are you? Or are you here because you want something? I'm here because I miss you. Because I realized that somewhere along the line we stopped being a family and we became, I don't know, strangers with a shared history. And I don't want that. I turned to look at her. She had tears in her eyes. And for the first time in weeks, I felt that maybe, just maybe, something could be salvaged from this whole mess. What do you want from me, Monica? I asked. What do you expect to happen now? I want to start over. I want you to really meet David. I want us to have dinner together without it being transactional. I want to get my dad back. The man who was here before Mom left. The man who laughed, who told bad jokes, who made me feel safe. That man, I said softly, got lost when he lost his wife. And his daughters finished burying him when they stopped seeing him as a person and started seeing him only as a provider. Then, help me find him again, she pleaded. Please, Dad, give me a chance to do it right this time. I looked at her, my youngest daughter, the one who was always more independent, the one I thought would understand me better. Okay, I said finally, one chance, but with conditions. Anything. First, no money. If you need something financially, you figure it out. I am no longer your financial safety net, unless it's a true emergency. And a true emergency does not include remodeling your house or buying new equipment for your studio. She nodded. Understood. Second, respect. That means including me in your life. You don't have to consult me on everything. But major events, big decisions. I want to be informed. I want to be part of your life, not an ATM you visit when you're low on funds. Agreed. And third, Patricia. I will not tolerate you being used as an intermediary to fix her situation. If she wants to talk to me, she can come herself. You are not responsible for her relationship with me. That's going to be tough, Monica admitted. She's really angry. Let her be. Eventually she'll get over it. Or she won't. But that's her decision, not yours. Monica hugged me. A real hug. Not one of those quick, obligatory family gathering hugs. A real one. Thank you, Dad, for giving me a chance. And I'm sorry for everything. I hugged her back. Let's see how it goes. That night, Monica and David came for dinner. I cooked. Something I hadn't done since Emily passed. I made the chili she had taught me to make. David turned out to be a good guy. A civil engineer. He worked for a major construction firm. We talked about business, about construction, about the city. Real conversation. Not transactional. And Monica. Monica was my daughter again. She laughed. She told stories. She asked me questions about my life, about how I was feeling, about what I'd been doing. For the first time in years, I felt like a father, not a bank. When they left that night, I sat on the terrace with a strange feeling in my chest. It took me a moment to identify it. Hope. Maybe not all was lost. Maybe with clear boundaries and mutual respect, something could be salvaged. But then my phone rang. It was Patricia. I heard Monica came to visit you. Hello, Patricia. Yes, she did. And you already forgave her? Just like that? It wasn't forgiveness. It was an honest conversation. Something you and I still haven't had. Because you don't want to talk. You just want to punish. No, Patricia. I set boundaries. You're angry because those boundaries don't suit you. I have a family to support, and I have dignity to recover. If you want to talk like adults, like Monica did, my door is open. But I will not tolerate yelling or manipulation. She hung up without another word. I sighed. Monica was taking steps forward. Patricia was still stuck in her anger. Only time would tell which one would take the right path. A month after the wedding incident, my life had found a new rhythm. One that, surprisingly, I liked better than the old one. Monica came for dinner every Tuesday. Sometimes she brought David, sometimes she came alone. We talked about everything. Her design business, my hardware stores, politics, Emily. For the first time in years, I could talk about my wife without Monica immediately changing the subject. Do you miss her? She asked me one night. Every day, I admitted. But it doesn't hurt like it used to. Now it's more like a soft nostalgia, a reminder of something beautiful I had. I miss her too, even though I never talk about it. Why not? Because Patricia gets really sensitive. And why? Because I feel guilty. Guilty of what? Monica fidgeted with her napkin. Of not being there more in her final months. I was so focused on my career, my life, and now that she's gone, I realize all the time I wasted. We all carry that kind of guilt, I told her. But your mom knew you loved her. That's what matters. Meanwhile, Patricia still wasn't speaking to me. But something interesting started to happen. I started hearing things through mutual acquaintances. Patricia had gotten a job, part-time at a boutique in that wealthy suburb. It wasn't much, but it was something. Jason, apparently, had also found a real job, selling insurance. They weren't glamorous jobs. They weren't the executive positions their college degrees suggested. But they were honest. And it was a start. Part of me felt proud. Another part felt sad that it had taken cutting them off financially to get them to this point. One Saturday morning, while I was having breakfast at my favorite cafe, someone tapped my shoulder. It was Danielle, my granddaughter. Grandpa. Behind her was Patricia. She looked tired. She had dark circles under her eyes. Her hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, jeans, and a work blouse. Very different from the polished, elegant Patricia I always knew. Hi, Dad, she said quietly. Patricia. Danielle. I looked at my granddaughter. How are you, Princess? Good, Grandpa. Can I sit with you? I looked at Patricia. She nodded. Of course you can. Danielle sat down across from me. Patricia remained standing, awkward. Aren't you going to sit? I asked. I don't want to bother you. Danielle wanted to say hi. She hasn't seen you in a long time. A month? I said. It's been a month. For an 8-year-old, that's a long time. I really looked at her, and I saw something I hadn't seen before. Humility. The pride that had always defined Patricia seemed to have softened. Sit down, I said, motioning to the empty chair. What are you doing here? Patricia sat down slowly. Danielle immediately started talking about school, her friends, a science project. I listened, but my attention was split between my granddaughter and my daughter. Patricia said nothing, she just watched, and there was something in her eyes. Something I hadn't seen in a long time. Regret. When Danielle got up to go to the bathroom, Patricia and I were left alone. "You look tired," I said. "I am. Working is different than I remembered." "How did you remember it?" "I don't know. Easier, I guess. When I worked before marrying Jason, I always knew I had your support, that if anything went wrong, you'd be there. Now I know I only have myself. And it's terrifying. It's also liberating," I offered. "Isn't it?" She smiled faintly. "I haven't gotten to that part yet." "You will." Patricia fiddled with her coffee cup. "Monica told me you're having dinner every week. On Tuesdays. And is everything okay between you?" "We're working on it. With mutual respect. With clear boundaries." "Boundaries," she repeated. "That word has become very important to you lately." "Because it should have always been important." She nodded. "You're right. About everything. About how we treated you. About the wedding. About the money. Everything." I didn't say anything. I waited. "I didn't come to ask for money," she continued quickly. "I just want to make that clear. I came because Danielle misses you, and because I miss you too. I miss my dad, the man who was always there, and who I took for granted. And Jason is learning. Like me, we never had to really work, and it's hard. But it's also bringing us together in a weird way. We're in this together now, without your safety net. And how does that feel?" "Terrifying," she admitted. "But also a good. Like we're finally building something that's ours. Not yours. Ours." Danielle came running back. "Grandpa, can I get a pastry?" "Of course, princess. Get whatever you want." While Danielle was choosing her pastry at the counter, Patricia spoke again. "I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know I was terrible to you. But if you could ever, I don't know, give me another chance, like you did with Monica, I'd like to try. No money involved, just family." I looked at my daughter, the girl I had held in my arms, the young woman I had dropped off at college, crying because it was her first day, the woman who now, finally, seemed to be truly growing up. "On Tuesdays I have dinner with Monica," I said. "Are Thursdays free?" Patricia blinked. "Thursdays? If you want to come for dinner. You, Jason, and Danielle, on Thursdays. No expectations. Just family." Patricia's eyes filled with tears. "Really?" "Really. But with the same rules as Monica. No money, mutual respect, and honesty. Can you do that?" "Yes," she said quickly. "We can do that. Then I'll see you on Thursday, at 7. Patricia stood up. For a moment I thought she was going to hug me, but she held back. There was still a barrier there, one that would take time to tear down. "Thank you, Dad." "Don't thank me yet. This is just the beginning. We have a lot of work to do." "I know, and I'm ready to do it." That night, I called Robert to tell him. "Well, look at that," he said with approval. "The old lion got his cubs in order." I don't know if in order is the right word, but at least we're talking. That's more than a lot of parents get. You should be proud. I'm cautiously optimistic. "So what are you going to do with all your free time? Your daughters used to consume every minute." It was a good question. For the first time in years, I had time. Real time. Time I wasn't spending worrying about other people's problems. "I don't know," I admitted. "Any suggestions?" "Live, my friend. Just live." The first Thursday arrived. Patricia, Jason, and Danielle rang the doorbell at exactly 7. They brought flowers, a small but significant gesture. "For you," Patricia said, holding them out. "For the house." They were lilies, Emily's favorite. "Thank you." The dinner was strange at first. We were all walking on eggshells. Too polite, too careful. But Danielle, bless her, broke the ice. "Grandpa, will you teach me how to make meatballs like Grandma used to? Mom says hers don't taste the same." And just like that, with my 8-year-old granddaughter as the master of ceremonies, we began to rebuild. The Tuesdays with Monica continued. The Thursdays with Patricia became routine. And slowly, week by week, something started to change. My daughters started calling me just to say hello, to ask how I was, to tell me about their days without asking for anything in return. Monica invited me to her studio to show me a project she was working on. Patricia asked me for help fixing a leaky faucet in her house. Not money, just physical help. And we spent a whole Saturday working together, like we hadn't in years. 2 months after the meeting at the cafe, I organized a dinner. with Monica, David, Patricia, Jason, and Danielle, all of us, together, for the first time since the wedding that had excluded me. It was awkward at first. Monica and Patricia barely spoke to each other. The resentment was still there. But after a couple of glasses of wine, something broke. "I'm sorry," Monica said suddenly, "for leaving you alone in all this. I should have talked to you about the wedding. I should have insisted on inviting Dad." Patricia looked at her plate. "I'm sorry, too, for dragging you into my plan, for using Dad's money without thinking, for everything." They looked at each other, and then, to my surprise, they hugged, both of them crying. And I, sitting at the head of my table, watching my family finally begin to heal, felt something I hadn't felt since Emily passed. Peace. It wasn't perfect. There was still work to do. There were still hard conversations to be had. But we were on the right path. And that night, when everyone had left, I sat on the terrace with a whiskey, looking at the stars, thinking about Emily. "I did it," I told the sky. "I finally set boundaries, like you told me to. And you know what? It worked." The wind blew gently, and for a moment, I swear I could feel her presence, her approval. I was late. I had made mistakes. I had allowed too much for too long. But finally, at 58 years old, I had learned the most important lesson of all. Love without respect isn't love. It's dependency. And dependency destroys both the giver and the receiver. My daughters knew that now, and so did I. And, together, we were building something new. Something better. Something real. 6 months after canceling the credit cards, my life was unrecognizable. And not just because of the relationship with my daughters, but because of who I had become. I lost 25 pounds. The gym became part of my daily routine, not out of vanity, but because I finally had the energy to take care of myself. The energy I used to spend worrying about everyone else. I picked up abandoned hobbies. I started playing golf with Robert again on Saturdays. I joined a book club. I even started taking Italian cooking classes. Emily always wanted us to learn together, but we never found the time. My hardware stores were thriving more than ever. Turns out, when you're not mentally exhausted by family drama, you can focus better on your work. I opened a 6th store in the next state over. The numbers had never been better. But most importantly, my relationships with my daughters had completely transformed. Tuesdays with Monica were still sacred. Some weeks we cooked together, others we went out to dinner. We talked about everything. She told me about problems in her marriage with David. Normal things. Disagreements about money, about time, about priorities. And I listened. I just listened. Without trying to solve everything. Without pulling out my checkbook. "You know what's strangest?" she told me one night. "Before, when I had a problem, my first instinct was to call you and expect you to fix it. Now, my first instinct is to solve it myself. And only after, I tell you how I did it." And how does that feel? Terrifying, but also powerful. Like I'm finally a real adult. You were always an adult, Monica. You just needed the chance to prove it to yourself. Thursdays with Patricia, Jason, and Danielle also evolved. Jason turned out to be a decent guy when he wasn't trying to impress anyone. We talked about sports, about business, about fatherhood. He told me about his childhood, about how growing up in a rich family had left him with no real life skills. "My father gave me everything," he confessed one night. "But he never taught me how to get anything for myself. And when I married Patricia, I just transferred that dependency to you. I'm sorry, Henry." "Call me Henry," I told him, "and don't apologize. I let it happen. But things are different now." "Yeah, and honestly, I like it better this way. I'm working hard. I'm doing well. I closed 3 big policies this month. For the first time, I feel like I'm actually building something." Patricia blossomed in ways I never imagined. The job at the boutique led to an opportunity to manage the store. Then the owner offered her a partnership. Patricia came to me for advice, not money, advice. "Do you think I should do it?" she asked one afternoon in my office. "What do you think?" "I think I should. But I'm scared. What if I fail?" "And what if you don't?" She smiled. "You sound like Mom. Your mom was wise." She was. Patricia looked out the window. I miss her, especially now, when I'm finally doing things I know would have made her proud. She is proud, I assured her. Wherever she is, she's proud. Patricia accepted the partnership, and 3 months later, the boutique had doubled its sales. My daughter had a natural talent for business she'd never had the chance to develop, because it had always been easier to depend on me. Danielle, my granddaughter, became my adventure buddy. On Sundays, we started a tradition. She and I would go exploring. Museums, parks, bookstores. I took her to places where she could just be a kid. No pressure, no expectations. "Grandpa," she asked me one Sunday while we were eating ice cream in the park, "why did you and Mom stop talking before?" It was a tough question, but Danielle deserved honesty. Because sometimes, families forget how to treat each other well, and they have to be reminded. "And did you remember?" "We're working on it, every day." "Good. I didn't like it when you were sad." "How did you know I was sad?" "Because you didn't smile anymore, not like you do now. Kids see everything," and she was right. I smiled now. For real. In the 9th month after the incident, I organized something special, a dinner, but not at my house. I rented a private room at the restaurant where Emily and I had our first date. I invited Monica, David, Patricia, Jason, Danielle, and also Robert and his family. I wanted my daughters to see that I had a life beyond them, that I wasn't just sitting around waiting for them to give my existence meaning. During the dinner, I stood up to make a toast. 9 months ago, I began, something happened that changed everything. My daughters excluded me from an important moment. They used my money without permission. And I finally said, enough. Monica and Patricia looked at each other, uncomfortable. "And it was the best decision I've made in years," I continued. "Because it forced all of us to rethink what it means to be a family. It forced you to grow up. And it forced me to stop hiding behind my checkbook." I raised my glass. Today, I toast to mistakes. Because mistakes, when we admit them and learn from them, make us better. I toast to my daughters, who are becoming the women their mother always knew they could be. And I toast to myself, for finally learning to respect myself. Everyone toasted. Monica had tears in her eyes. Patricia, too. After dinner, they both asked to speak to me alone. We went out onto the restaurant's terrace. The city glittered below us. "Dad," Monica began, "we want to do something. We've been saving, both of us, and we want to pay you back for the wedding." She pulled out an envelope. $12,432, Patricia said, in cash. "It's not the only thing we owe you. We know there's more, years more, but it's a start." I looked at the envelope. Then I looked at them. "I don't want it," I said. "Dad, don't get me wrong. I appreciate the gesture. I appreciate that you worked to save this, but I don't want your money. It was never about the money. It was about the respect, the consideration, about being seen as something more than a resource." "Then what can we do?" Monica asked. "You're already doing it. You're being present. You're being honest. You're building your own lives. That's all I've ever wanted." "But we feel guilty," Patricia said, "for all those years, for everything we took. Guilt doesn't change the past," I told them, "but actions change the future. Use that money for something that matters, for your businesses, for your families, for savings. But don't give it to me. I don't need it." I hugged them, both of them at the same time, my girls, who weren't girls anymore, who were finally becoming whole women. "I love you," I told them. "I have always loved you. But now, I also respect you, and I admire you for the hard work you're doing." "We love you too, Dad," Monica whispered. "And we respect you," Patricia added. "We finally understand everything you did for us, and everything we had to learn to do for ourselves." That night, driving home, I thought about Emily, about how she would have loved to see this moment, to see our daughters finally finding their way. "We did it," I told the sky. "It took time. It took pain, but we did it." The year mark arrived. 1 year since the day Danielle innocently revealed the truth about the wedding. 1 year since I canceled the cards. 1 year since my life completely changed. I decided to mark it somehow, so I organized a family meal at my house on a Sunday, just like we used to when Emily was alive. But this time was different. This time, everyone brought something. Monica made dessert, Patricia made a salad, Jason brought drinks, David made his specialty, garlic shrimp, and I, of course, made the main dish, Emily's chili, the recipe she had taught me, and that I had finally perfected. As we were eating, Danielle asked, "Grandpa, can I see pictures of when Mom and Aunt Monica were little?" I pulled out the albums. Those albums I had put away because it hurt too much to look at them. But now, surrounded by my family, it didn't hurt. It was sweet. It was remembering something beautiful. This is your mom when she was your age, I showed Danielle. You look so much alike. And who is this? Your grandmother, Emily, the love of my life. Monica took the album. She turned the pages slowly. I forgot how much we laughed. We laughed a lot, I confirmed. Your mother had that gift of making everything lighter, happier. I want to be like that, Danielle said. Like Grandma. You already are, Princess, I told her. You definitely already are. We spent hours looking at photos, telling stories, remembering. Patricia and Monica shared memories I didn't know, moments between sisters, mischief, secrets. And I realized something. I had been so focused on my grief over losing Emily that I had forgotten that my daughters had lost her too, and they had processed that loss by pulling away. From me, from each other, from everything. But now, we were coming back, together. When everyone left that night, I sat on the terrace, drinking a whiskey, looking at the stars. My phone buzzed. It was a group message, one Monica had just created with Patricia, her, and me. Monica, thanks for today, Dad. For the memories, for the patience, for giving us another chance. Patricia, thank you for never giving up on us, even when we deserved it. Me, thank you both for finally letting me be your father. Not your bank, your father. Monica, we love you. Patricia, so much. Me, I love you too, more than words can say. I put the phone down, and in that moment of silence, of peace, of fullness, I understood something fundamental. Life gives you lessons when you're ready to learn them, not before. And my lesson had taken 58 years to arrive, but I had finally learned it. True love doesn't require constant sacrifice. It doesn't require you to empty yourself completely. It doesn't require you to lose your dignity. True love requires boundaries. It requires mutual respect. It requires both sides to be willing to grow, to change, to be better. And my daughters and I had finally found that balance. Was it easy? No. There were tears. There was pain. There were moments when I thought I had lost them forever. But it was worth it. Every hard moment, every uncomfortable conversation, every boundary I had to hold, even when my father's heart wanted to give in. Because, in the end, I didn't just save my relationship with my daughters. I saved myself. 2 years later, I'm sitting on the same terrace. But I'm not alone. Robert is here, so is Frank, a new friend from the golf club. And Michael, my accountant, who has become a good friend. It's my birthday, 60 years old, and I decided to celebrate with friends. My daughters are coming tomorrow, with their families, with gifts they paid for themselves, with food they prepared themselves, with love they cultivate themselves. Because that's what we've built in these 2 years, a relationship based on give and take, not just my constant giving and their endless taking. Monica called me this morning. Dad, remember that money from the wedding we wanted to pay you back? Yes. Well, we invested it. Patricia and I, together. We started a business, a design shop with a boutique attached, combining our talents. And it's working. Monica, that's incredible. And we were wondering if you'd like to be our business advisor. Not an investor, an advisor. Someone we can ask for advice when we need it. I'd be honored. Really? Because we don't want to pressure you. And we are definitely not asking for money. Just your experience, your wisdom. It will be an honor. And it was an honor. Because they were finally asking me for something I could give them without losing a part of myself. My knowledge, my experience, my time. But not my money, not my dignity. Patricia invited me last week to see Danielle's school play. Not because she needed me to pay for anything, just because she wanted me to be there. And I was there. Front row. Watching my granddaughter perform. And afterward, the 4 of us went out to dinner. And we split the check, Patricia insisted. Those small gestures. Those small signs of respect and independence. They meant more to me than all the years of giving them money without question. Because I finally understood what Emily had been trying to tell me from the beginning. Giving them everything wasn't loving them. It was crippling them. And loving them for real meant letting them struggle, letting them fail, letting them learn, even if it hurt to watch them suffer in the process. What are you thinking about? Robert asks, pulling me from my thoughts. About how much things have changed, I answer. About how one moment of pain became the catalyst for something so much better. Do you regret anything? Not doing it sooner, I admit. Waiting so long to set boundaries, to demand respect. But you did it eventually. That's what matters. He's right. I did. And even though I was late, even though I wasted years being an ATM instead of a father, I finally found my way, and my daughters found theirs. I raise my glass to the mistakes that teach us, to the pain that makes us grow, and to second chances. They all toast. That night, when my friends leave, I stay alone on the terrace. It's my favorite time of day, when I can reflect, when I can just be. I look at the stars, and I talk to Emily. Like I've done all these years. I turned 60 today, I tell her. 60 years old, and I finally feel like I know what I'm doing. Took me long enough, right? The wind blows softly. I take that as her answer. The girls are okay, I continue. Really okay. They're building something together. Something that's theirs. And they ask for my help. But not money. Just advice. Just presence. A tear rolls down my cheek. You should be here to see this. You should be here to see who they've become. Who they always could have been. If I had just stopped getting in the way with my money. Silence. But a comfortable silence. Full of presence. I miss you, I whisper. Every day. But it doesn't hurt like it used to. Now it's more like gratitude. Gratitude for the years we had. For the lessons you left me. For the daughters we raised together. The wind blows again. Stronger this time. I'm okay, I tell her. For the first time in years. I'm really okay. And I know you are too. Wherever you are. I stay out there for hours. Thinking. Remembering. Planning the future. A future where I'm more than a provider. Where I'm a father. A grandfather. A friend. A man with his own life. A future where my daughters are my partners. Not my dependents. A future where the respect is mutual and the love is real. And it all started with a simple sentence from an 8-year-old girl. Grandpa, you missed the wedding. Those 6 words changed everything. They showed me the truth I had been avoiding for years, and they gave me the courage to do something about it. The next day, my daughters arrive early. They bring decorations, food, gifts, but most importantly, they bring genuine smiles, sincere hugs, real love. Happy birthday, Dad, they say in unison. Thank you, my girls. We're not girls anymore, Patricia says with a smile. You always will be to me, but you're right, you're women, strong, independent women, and I am so proud of you. Monica hands me a package. Open it. It's a photo album, but not an old one. It's new, filled with pictures from the last 2 years, pictures of our Tuesday and Thursday dinners, pictures of Danielle and me on our Sunday adventures, pictures of moments I'd forgotten anyone had captured, and on the first page a letter, written by both of them. Dad, 2 years ago, you gave us the hardest gift a father can give. You let us fall. You let us fail. And in doing so, you taught us how to fly. You showed us that true love isn't giving without limits. It's believing in someone enough to let them find their own path. Thank you for loving us enough to set boundaries. Thank you for respecting yourself enough to demand respect. And thank you for giving us a second chance to be your daughters. Not your employees, not your beneficiaries. Your daughters. We love you. Always. Monica and Patricia. I can't hold back the tears. And I don't try, I hug them.